Hello, my name is Grover Coulson. Well, it helped it quite a bit, because Friday Night Lights was such a successful movie, and people started recognizing me from the movie. I'd go places and people would go, "Hey, LB Miles," So it was, it was nice. It was nice to be recognized, and fortunately, a lot of people liked the work that I did in that, so I have no complaints. Well, okay. One of my favorite moments was the first time I met Billy Bob Thornton. And Billy Bob came in and said, "Hello, my name is Billy Bob Thornton. I'm an international film star." And I was kind of freaking out after that. But then I realized he was just joking and kidding, and he just made me feel so comfortable. And the first time we started doing the scene, I was a little bit uptight, so he started doing his lines. And right after he started doing his lines and my lines came up, I just kind of rushed right in because I was a little bit raw. And Billy Bob said to me, "The next time we do this scene, just kind of relax and just then do the scene and don't worry about it." and I just followed his lead, and evidently it worked, and we kind of got a real good relationship going after that. Johnny Depp he's a really nice guy too. He was, when we were on the set, he was very concerned about me and how I was doing on the set, and he kind of took me in his wing. It's like when the scene was over, he said, "Well, how's Grover doing over there? Let him get up and rest a little bit." So it was kind of like he was kind of taking care of me, and he talked about he was really into music, and I wished I had given him some of the names of some of the musicians that I knew in Austin at the time, because I know he would have loved them. He would have just loved them. It was great. Peter gave the actors a lot of opportunity to develop the characters on their own, and I think one of the things that helped me get the role was when I was auditioning for the role. They give us sides to audition with. And I always thought, okay, I have to have some place that I'm coming from to begin the sides, and then some place that I'm going after the end of the sides. And so I had kind of ad-libbed a few things in my mind about where this character was going. And when I auditioned, I just kind of threw those things in. And while I was auditioning, Peter came around and started walking around me doing like this. And that's the first time any director had ever done that to me. And then he asked me to do the scene over again. And then he asked me to go to another scene. And this other scene was one where I thought this character was going to be really emotional. And I had the character going to the brink of tears, but not crying. And so I did it like that. And Peter asked me to do it again. And I did it again. I went just a little bit further, and then he said, "Oh, do it again." He said, "You almost got to tears." And I said, "What? You want tears?" "Oh man, just give me a minute here." And then I thought about it a little while, and I decided to do the tears and get a little bit morose in my body and show him the tears. But for some reason, I couldn't get the tears right there at that time. But the interesting thing about it was the LA casting director and the Austin casting director were in the room at the same time. And I said that, "I'm sorry, I just can't get the tears right now." And they said, almost like they had rehearsed it, "It made me cry." Then Peter started asking me where I was from, and he said, I told him Fort Worth, Texas, and he said, "You're from Fort Worth, Texas?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I left the place feeling really good, like I think I got this. And then for about a month, I didn't hear a thing. And I started telling everybody as soon as I got back that I think I got it. And then I started saying I should keep my mouth shut sometime and not start saying stuff before I get it. But then after about a month, I got a call from my agent. My agent said they wanted to see you for callbacks for Friday Night Lights. And I thought, wait a minute, I already been to callbacks. I wonder what this is back. So I got to the callbacks, and I looked around, and usually when you go for callbacks, there's a lot of people that look like you. Well, I looked around, and there was nobody that looked like me in the place. But so I thought, okay, well, I don't know what's going on. But then Peter came in, and he said, "Grover, And I looked up at him because I didn't recognize him. And he said, "Peter, the director." And I thought, oh God, I really messed up this time. And so then he had some business to take care of, and he came back and got me, and he said, "Let's go to the back." And that's something that's really unusual, because usually when you do an audition and they use an assistant to come and get you to take you back to talk to the director. But here was the director calling me to come back, and I had these pictures and headshots in my hand, and he said, "They asked you to bring back a headshot? Here, let me have those." And he took the headshots. And this is my second time auditioning, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to really show him I could cry on cue this time. So we got back to where I was getting ready to audition, and I got on the spot, and Peter said, "Oh, let's just talk." And he said to me, "Grover, tell me a little bit something about yourself." And I started talking about my kids, because I'm really proud of my kids and my background. And then he said, "If I hired you to do this film, you think you could find a place to stay up here in Austin for a few weeks?" And I said, "Hell, I'll move to Austin if you hire me to do the scene." And about that time, the casting director said, "It's already been done." And I had one of those, "What you talking about, Willis?" moments, you know. And so I still wanted to show him that I could cry. I wanted to show him that crying was no big deal for me, that I could do it on the spot. And he said, "I forget it, just save it." He said, "Just save it." I found out then that I was the second person that auditioned for my role. This is something that an actor doesn't like to hear. And after my auditions, Peter told me that he knew that he wanted me to play this role. And he called the casting directors and told them not to send anybody else, because he knew who he wanted. And I was just beside myself. I was beside myself. It was the most wonderful experience I'd ever had in theater to that point. Well, I was kind of given a description of the character, but I always go in looking for all the possibilities, and I try to make it as real as possible. I want it to not feel like acting, and for it to not feel like acting, I have to have some way to make it feel real. And that's basically what I did. Whatever scene I was in, I tried to figure out where my character was in the scene and what emotional threads were going through his body. And evidently I was more successful than I thought, because during the filming of the scene, editors started coming up to me and telling me that they really liked the work that I was doing. As a matter of fact, the writer told me that I did the character better than he wrote it. And that was a good thing and a bad thing, because the bad thing about it was it kind of went to my head, and I didn't. I hate to say this, but I didn't do the job that I knew that I could do as an actor, and it's something that I promised myself that I'd never do again. I wouldn't get so relaxed that I listened to what people said about how good I was, and I keep focused on what I was doing. And that's my goal right now, to keep focused on what I'm doing so people can see, because I think I can really act. And I think that when I get to the point to where I don't feel like I'm acting, it's when I do the best acting. And I've had times where I watch, I've been in the moment, and I thought, that wasn't that good. And I've seen it later on, and I go, well, that was pretty good. And so I want to get to the point where I don't have to worry about it being pretty good, that I go through all the possibilities so that the director and the editor has a variety of things to choose from, and in choosing those parts that make me look better than I might possibly be, Oh yeah, stage was my first love. I got into acting because I'm dyslexic, and I had trouble reading, and I'm shy, and there was a lot of girls in theater. And so I got in theater there, and the girls weren't all that interested until I got focused on the acting. And when I got focused on the acting, evidently I had some ability that I wasn't quite aware of, but I knew that I had a lot of passion. I was so passionate, that's why I knew I could cry, because I had this tremendous passion in me. And when I found a character that expressed some of these emotions that I felt, it was just easy. All I had to do was just work on it, find the spots that were difficult for me, figure out a way to make them be real, and then just relax and let it happen. And when I did that, things just started working for me. People started complimenting me, and I generally never was satisfied with what I was doing, except after a while later on, I would see something and I would go, you know, I was pretty good. I would say, don't let anybody discourage you that you can't do it. If they tell you you can't do it, just get more determined to do it. And what I used to say, when I used to teach acting in an after-school program, and one of the first things that I would tell kids is, don't be afraid to make a fool out of yourself. Because when you get over being afraid of making a fool out of yourself, you start discovering things about your body and your abilities that you didn't know. And you start getting out of your head, and you don't worry about people criticizing you for, because people will criticize you. But I found that after a while, if you can really dive down in it, they'll stop criticizing you and they'll start becoming your fans. So I would say just kind of believe in yourself. Don't give up. If somebody tells you you can't do something, just keep exploring, keep pushing, and keep looking.